Hey everybody, Flash Focus crew coming at you with the latest installment of our Hall of Fame tier list. We're doing left fielders today. I'm Deej, this is my brother Smokey. How are you, my man?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. Let's dig right in. First up, we got Lou Brock. So Lou Brock, man, he is a very statistically controversial player. So only 45 WAR, but he got 3,000 hits. And when he retired, he was the stolen base king, 938 steals. I was broken about 10 years later by Ricky Henderson, but so this guy retired as the Steal King with 3,000 hits. And did he get in on his first Hall of Fame ballot? I think he was. Yep, got in on his first try. So he was regarded as a really great player, but man, WAR hates him. Only 45 WAR for a guy like that, and he never had a 6 WAR season. Only cracked five 3 times. Only four times, and he only had 2.8 WAR per 162 games. Let's compare that to the other Hall of Fame left fielders. Dead last. 2.8 is last. Second worst is 3.7. So, like, man, what? I don't know what to do about Lou Brock. He feels like an A-lister with his 3,000 hits and his stolen bases, but just like, did he get any gold gloves or anything? No gold gloves. I guess he wasn't considered much of a. Yeah, he did make 6 All-Star games. Got 2 rings with the Cardinals. No MVPs. Did finish second one year, though. Man, what do you think about Lou Brock? I could see him in almost any one of these squares. He just like has an argument to be pretty much anywhere. I guess I'm kind of tempted to maybe stick him in at C. But what do you think about Lou Brock?
He's a really hard one to gauge. I mean, when he was active, he was the steals leader, and that was a big deal. I
Yeah,
remember reading about him, and he was the base stealer. Him and Maury Pump Wills. I mean, those were the big base stealers that I was reading about growing up. And then Ricky Henderson came along, and kind of uh, just became like. And I think we'll be talking about him a little bit later, but
yeah.
he kind of became like the big guy in steals. I just don't think there's I don't think he's as bad as that 45 WAR. I think he's just, there's some players that WAR loves and there's some players that WAR hates. But the 3,000 hits and just being an elite base dealer, minimum C, maybe B. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at the WAR.
Yeah, it does feel low, but 109 OPS plus at a corner outfield. Yeah, below average defensive left fielder. So man, he might have been a DH if he played today with those numbers. Yeah, I C feels about right. I mean, like he's not as bad as his WAR. Like some WAR's not perfect. I think it really undersells him. I mean, he was definitely considered, an all-time great throughout his career. He's the Steel King. That's really impressive. He got 3,000 hits. That's really impressive. He even hit 20 dingers a couple of times. I mean, he's like a good all-around player. And WAR just doesn't work with him for whatever reason. But that's not nothing. But I don't know. I think C is a good compromise for all of his pros and cons. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay with C, but just still, there's the sticker shock of the WAR.
Yeah. Yeah, very unusual player. All right, let's move on. Next, we got Jesse Burkett. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Burkett. So he is a 19th century guy. Played for a little bit in the. Is that the Cleveland Spiders? I think so. Yeah. So he was one of the guys that Cleveland sold to the Cardinals that allowed Cleveland to go like 20 and 132 or whatever in 1899. All right, so anyway, so we got 63 WAR, 4.9 WAR per 162. That's pretty much right average for Hall of Famers. 140 OPS plus, quite good. 3 batting titles, hit 400 twice back when that was doable. Yeah, had a lot of hits, almost 3,000 hits. It's pretty impressive. Fielding, average fielder, so whatever, not much there. Let's look at his peak. Yeah, cracked 5 several times. I don't know. This guy's just a very average seeming Hall of Famer. C tier to me. What do you think about Burkett?
Yeah, C or B. I mean, those 400 batting averages were pretty eye-popping, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it wasn't that uncommon back then, and just an average fielder. Yeah, C is okay. B is okay. I wouldn't argue too much on either.
Okay. Yeah. 63 batting WAR. Must have pitched a little bit and done poorly. Let's just look at that for fun. Yeah. Wow, he got -3 WAR just by pitching very briefly early in his career. Okay. Yeah, C tier feels about right for this guy. Doesn't have much star power. All right, next up.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. Speaking of not much star power, Fred Clark, another guy I barely know. All right, so 68 WAR. It's pretty good. That's about average. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, not much black ink. So I for corner outfielders, I really want to see a lot of leading the league and stuff. So 133 OPS plus is good, but yeah, not really like a powerhouse. So this guy was on the Louisville Sluggers and the Pirates. He must have been a teammate of Hannes Wagner. Those were his teams, basically. But, all right, let's see. Fielding. Good left fielder. Fred Clark, jeez. Yeah, this guy's just, 2,700 hits. I can't, just feels like another C to me. What do you think about Fred Clark?
I feel almost bad agreeing, but yeah, he's just kind of a middle-of-the-road Hall of Famer. There's nothing really to ding him on, and there's nothing to jump up and down and point at how good he is either.
Yeah, I mean, just, got 2,700 hits, basically, and the WAR is good, but just never heard of the guy, and there's nothing, relative to other Hall of Famers, nothing great about him. So, to the C tier you go. All right, next up is Ed Delahanty. Ed was the oldest of 5 brothers who all played in the majors. Frank, Jim, Joe, and Tom. So Ed was from Cleveland, Ohio. We're Guardians fans, so he gets a little plus for that. So interesting story about Ed. He died mid-career at 35. I guess he was on a train and drunk, and he got kicked off over Niagara Falls, and he fell into the falls or jumped. They'll never know what happened, but very strange end to his career. But 70 WAR, 6.1 WAR per 162. That is very good. And, led the league 3 times, had 6, 8, 9, 10 times, looks like. Yeah, tons of black ink, hit 400, led in OPS, 5 times, looks like. So, a bit of a tragic case at the end of his career. But what did he do defensively? Average fielder. 2,600 hits and died young. Wow, 346, 152 OPS plus. This guy's, he feels A tier to me. He was an incredibly good hitter. What do you think about Delahanty?
Yeah, I mean, getting up over the 70 WAR is definitely a little eye-opening. Good fielder, good OPS plus. B. A is a bit of a stretch in my mind. Just trying to take away the fact that, he's a Clevelander. Trying not to give him too much credit, but I think B is about right.
Oh, he did play on Cleveland in the Players League for 1 year. The Cleveland Infants. Interesting. Didn't know about that. All right. You think more A or B, or where do you want to put Delahanty?
I think he's a B. I don't think he's quite an A. The WAR's not there.
Yeah, the star power's not there. All right, yeah, that's fair. B feels good there. All right, next up we got Goose Goslin. Not Goose Gossage, but Goslin. So another 70 WAR guy, roughly, 66. Goslin was definitely a very good all-around player. 128 OPS plus. He was a good defensive outfielder. He was on the Senators and Tigers mostly, looks like there. not a whole lot of black ink, but I hit 379 one year, led the league. No MVPs. Let's see, peak. Yeah, he cracked 6 4 times and 5 another 3 times. Yeah, he was a very good hitter and definitely considered one of the good hitters in the 20s and 30s. 2,700 hits. Yeah, I'm feeling B tier for Goslin. What do you think?
Yeah, C or B. I mean, just didn't crack the 70 mark. We got a couple other guys that are in the mid 60s. They're C tier. I'm not gonna argue with you if you want B, but it kind of feels like a C or B.
Yeah. I think that Goslin was had more star power in his time, and I think he was considered one of the best. So I'm cool with B. I think that he earned that reputation. All right. Next up, we got Chick Hafey. So Hafey was bespectacled. You don't see too many Hall of Famers with glasses. He only had 31 WAR, 1,400 hits. And what do we got here? Man, he had a very short career.
Check out the plaque. See what it says.
He only had 6 full seasons. He had a batting title and a slugging title. I mean, 133 OPS plus. That is quite good. But we're talking a corner outfielder. Yeah, let's look at his plaque. Let's see what Cooperstown has to say about Chick Hafey. All right. Great outfielder who hit 317. Well, hit for a good batting average. Yeah, I mean, 31 WAR. Just didn't play long enough. He was good when he played, but he didn't really. He has no black. I mean, outside of the one batting title and the one slugging title, man,
E, F.
Yeah, man, he's. I can't see this guy as a Hall of Famer. I think I'm gonna have to put him in F. I don't know. Do you want to save Chick from the F tier, or what do you think?
No, I mean, I'm fine with an E or an F. He just didn't earn it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what separates this guy from Johnny Damon or J.D. Drew or any other 30, 40 WAR guys that. Yeah, I don't know. Bad Hall of Fame choice. Sorry, Chick. All right. Now, the opposite of a bad Hall of Fame choice, Ricky Henderson. Obvious S tier to me. What do you think? Any argument against that?
No, he was elite. I mean, everything about Ricky Henderson. He hit some dingers. He stole a ton of bases.
Yeah, jeez.
He was just everywhere all the time.
Yeah, 11-1 WAR. Man, just look at all that blood. The Steel King. Man, I think he broke the steal record in 1990, I believe, and he went on to play another 13 seasons. All-time runs scored leader, all-time steal leader. He was the all-time walks leader at one point. Barry Bonds obviously broke that later. 3,000 hits. This guy did it all. Just the all-time inner ring great. Just couldn't possibly say enough good things about Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, right. Best tier all the way.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, next up we got Monty Irvin. So Irvin, I believe, started out in the Negro Leagues. Yeah, and he didn't come to the majors till he was 30. So he's not going to have Hall of Fame caliber stats or anything. So let's take a look at his plaque. So yeah, he's got a couple batting titles in the Negro Leagues. Had an RBI title for the New York Giants in '51, which was quite good. Third in MVP that year. 138 OPS plus overall. 300 hitter. So good. I led the league in homers once. Very very good power hitter. Good doubles hitter. Let's just take a look at his plaque real quick and see what kind of narrative we can get. Regarded as one of Negro League's best hitters, star slugger, won a batting title, led the league in runs batted in, and he was one of the early guys that had to, jump from the Negro Leagues to the majors and go through all the crap, and I could see him as maybe a B tier Hall of Famer. What do you think about Monty?
Yeah, B tier is good.
Yeah, feels about right. All right. Next up, we got Joe Kelly. So Joe Kelly was a 19th century guy. He was a BLN, the old Baltimore team. Played a little bit on the Reds in the 20th century. Led the league in steals once. 400 steals. 400 on base. 133 OPS plus. Yeah, had a couple good seasons, but only cracked 4 or 5 times. 50 WAR. I think he might have been a manager. Let's look at his manager stats. Yeah, just briefly. He did player manage the Reds for a couple years. Yeah, 2,200 hits. I don't know. He's not like an F tier because he did have some really excellent seasons, but I don't know. I don't think I could rate him any higher than E. What do you think of Joe Kelly?
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah, just like wouldn't quite want to kick him out, but he's definitely in the bottom, 10 to 20% of Hall of Famers. All right, next up we got Ralph Kiner. So Kiner got a late start to his career, but once he got called up, he led the league in home runs his first 7 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So he had a pretty short career, only played till he was 32. But man, he was really good when he played. Like, geez, 150 OPS plus. 6-time All-Star and only 10 seasons in the bigs. No MVPs, but he, finished top 10 5 or 6 times. Man, so yeah, and great WAR. Cracked 8 3 times and 6 5. Yeah, so he's like a short career guy with a stupendous peak. He feels kind of like a C. Only 48 WAR, but if you look at his WAR per 162, 5.3, anything over 5 is like really good. So I don't know. I feel like all his pros and cons kind of average out to C tier. What do you think of Kiner?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with B tier. I wish he played a little longer, but in the time he played, he was a B tier. Overall, I kind of want to give him a C tier, but yeah, I mean, I don't know the story of why his career ended at 32.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just everything kind of averages out. I'm comfortable with him kind of being in the C tier. All right, next up we got Heine Manouche.
Heine.
Hi, Heine. All right, so Heine only had 48 WAR, 2,500 hits, 330 batting average. So yeah, he had some, not a lot of black ink, but he had a batting title and had 200 hits. How many times did he do that? Yeah, 200 hits like 4 or 5 times. WAR just didn't. He must have had really bad defense. No, average defense. WAR just didn't like this guy very much. What did he do? I only cracked 5 3 times. Finished third in the MVP 4 times. 5. WAR doesn't like this, but he hit 330. I mean, that's really good. Had 2,500 hits. But WAR just hated him. I don't know. It kind of feels like a D tier to me. I don't know that he's so much as an average Hall of Famer, but he's got some tread on his tire, but I don't know, it feels like D to me. What do you think of Heine?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the era that we have to look at a little bit now.
Yeah.
Did they put their best players in left field? Probably not.
Yeah, plus he's, playing along Gehrig and Ruth and tons of other, S tier guys in the 20s and 30s in the AL. But yeah, I don't think he's really distinguished himself enough for a corner outfield Hall of Famer. Sorry, Heine. Next up, we got Ducky Midwick. Officially Joe, but Ducky in our hearts. Ducky or Muscles. You can call him whatever you want, just don't call him Joe. So Ducky had just 55 WAR, but he won a Triple Crown in 37. He was on those Gas House Gang Cardinals in the early 30s, and he had a really good peak here. He was just leading the league in everything. And had some excellent MVP caliber seasons. Did win that MVP in 37, very deserved. 2,400 hits, 324 hitter, OPS plus of 134. That's really good. Yeah, I think that this is another guy that rated as an above average but not remarkably good fielder. This is another guy Ward just didn't really like very much, but he was pretty good. I mean, he was definitely regarded as a star in his day, so I wouldn't worry about that low WAR too much in his case. I'm thinking C tier for Medwick. What do you think?
Yeah, I think C tier is fair.
Yeah, definitely a great nickname. All right, next up we got Mini Mignoso. So Mignoso had a very interesting career. So he started out playing in the Negro Leagues. He's on the, didn't make the majors till he was 25, and then didn't play every day until he was 27. So he got a late start thanks to World War II, probably in the Negro Leagues. Only 53 total WAR, but he was kind of screwed over by circumstance, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I won't give him an average. I think right now the WAR system is messed up because we're early in the 2025 season. Let's look at this. Okay, 4.4 WAR per 162, so a little below average, but not like bad or anything. It's pretty cool. He actually played in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Publicity stunt appearances, but he got a couple of bats for the White Sox when he was a coach, and when he was 56. Wow. So, very unique player. He just got into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago after he died. Let's stop doing that. Stop putting in guys after they die. Please induct them in their 50s so they can enjoy being a Hall of Famer. Stop doing this. All right, so Mignoso was, what was his peak like? That one great season. He was a base stealer, triples hitter. I always considered him more of I guess he did play mostly left field. I always thought of him as a center fielder, but yeah, he wasn't. Mignoso is one of those guys that everyone's kind of pounding the table to get him in the Hall of Fame. He was on the Veterans Committee all the time and just took him forever to get in. Just got in like in 22 or so. I just I'm feeling like D, maybe C if you want to give him throw him a bone for all his hardship at the beginning of his career. What do you think of Mignoso?
I think a C tier. I think if he started his career in the majors, it'd probably be a different look.
Yeah.
Especially with World War II.
Yeah, it feels about right. Definitely had a really good career and was a really good player, for a long time. All right, next up we got Jim O'Rourke. So O'Rourke, or Orator Jim, has that amazing mustache. So he was, he was a pioneer. He was there in the National Association in the early 1870s. He was on the Buffalo Buffs, New York Giants in the 1800s. He got into a game in his 50s too. All right, so he got 52 WAR, 4.2 per 162. That's on the lower side. 2,600 hits, 134 OPS plus. Average or maybe slightly below average fielder. WAR didn't like this guy at all. He never cracked 5 and only hit 4 twice. Won that batting title. Yeah, I never know what to do with these 1800s guys. So he did get in 1945, so that's very early on. So I think he was regarded as a really good, 19th century guy that they wanted to get into the Hall of Fame pretty quickly. But man, he probably, I guess like when you're looking at that 52 WAR, keep in mind that back then they only played 60, 70 games. Yeah, so don't worry about that too much. In modern times, it would be higher, like well into the 60s, maybe even 70s. I'm thinking C tier for Orator Jim. What do you think?
Yeah, I think C is fair. Maybe B, just because of how few games they played, and kind of extrapolate that out. He's probably a 70 WAR guy.
Yeah, I could see him as B because he was like definitely one of the big names of the 19th century. Also, we're kind of running out of space on C's. That's not really why I put him in B, but I don't want to run out of space. That would be awkward. Very awkward. All right, next up we got Tim Raines. So Tim Raines he was like just in Ricky Henderson's shadow. I believe they both came up in '79 and retired in the early 2000s. Man, he just was like he would have been Ricky if not for Ricky. So Raines has 69 WAR, cracked 5 or 6 times. Wow, batting title, amazing. Look at that steal percent, just very high success rate. Like 800 steals and only 146 caught stealing. Like, man, just man, stealing 90, getting caught 14 times. He was great. 2,600 hits. Yeah, he walked a lot. Was walking in the 80s, 90s. So did he? Yeah, he might be in the 4,000 times on base percentage if you add up walks and hits. That's like 3,900, and maybe if you got hit by pitch, 42. Yeah, close to 4,000, if not there already. So Raines is he's definitely an above average Hall of Famer. Would you put him in A or is he more of a B? What do you think? He's kind of an A-B straddler to me. What do you think of Tim Raines?
I think he's a B tier. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not feeling the A tier. I'm like, yeah, this is one of the best players of the era. So one of the problems is later in his career, he was overshadowed by the steroid era. And, you had like Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco and Rafi Palmeiro around while he was playing towards the middle to the end of his career. But earlier in his career, I mean, when you think about like Tim Raines and, like he was just one of the better players, but he was never quite, as good as Ricky Henderson. I'd be good with B tier.
Yeah, feels about right. Okay, next up we got Jim Rice. So Rice is kind of one of those guys that people point to when they're like, this guy is not a Hall of Famer. So he had 48 WAR. He did have that great season in '78 where he won the MVP. Finished top 5 4 or 5 times. Led in total bases 4 times. It's ground into a lot of double plays. He might have the most ground into double plays. I think I remember seeing that. Or no, I guess this would be highlighted if he did. Maybe this 36 is the most in a season or something. But, big, slow, powerful right-handed hitter with a lot of guys on base in front of you equals ground into double plays. All right, so yeah, he had like some really good seasons for sure. 3 home run titles, 2 RBI titles. I cared about that a lot back then. 2 slugging titles. Yeah, I don't think he's an F tier. I don't think he's like kick him out because he definitely had a really good peak. But this is fielding. Okay, average glove. 2,500 hits, 382 homers. 128 OPS plus. Yeah, he feels like an E tier to me. Like, not kick him out, but just kind of like one of the worst Hall of Famers that I can abide. What do you think of Jim Rice?
Yeah, E or D. I mean, he still did have like that one really awesome season. RBI baseball. I had Jim Rice. When he was on the Red Sox, I liked him.
Yeah, he was on the. Yeah, I couldn't, yeah, I don't know. It's just that one season isn't really enough for me. I want to see a little.
Yeah, I'm good with E. I'm good with E.
So, like, I don't mind him in the Hall of Fame, but he's just, like, he's one of the guys that, if we had to kick people out, he's kind of makes the short list.
I agree.
All right, next up we got Al Simmons. He was on the Philly A's. He was a very, very popular and successful guy. So 69 WAR, cracked 6, 5 times almost, and yeah, pretty good. 5 WAR per 162. So when you see over 5, you should be pretty impressed. Almost 3,000 hits. Jeez, too bad he couldn't quite get there. 300 homers, 133 OPS plus. No MVPs, but finished top 5 many, many times. 2 batting titles, hit 380, 390. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Al Simmons was definitely considered one of the very best players. I would say I would put him in A tier. What do you think of Simmons?
I think he's A tier. I think when you look at like what an A tier entails, he meets it.
Yeah, he definitely had the reputation of an A tier. Didn't quite have the WAR, but like, I'm not too concerned about that in his case. Bucket Foot Al, they called him. His foot was in the bucket. All right, next up we got Willie Stargell. Pops. Wilver Dornell Stargell. Pretty cool name. So Pops got the MVP in 79, 7-time All-Star, 475 homers, 147 OPS plus. Wow. MVP, finished second or third a few times. Definitely a very good player. You know, he was up in the... I guess he only cracked 6 twice and 5 4 times. Maybe a little peakier, but he had a very long career.
It looks like he was a poor fielder because his hitting was pretty good.
Yeah, his O WAR was 64. What was his WAR? Yeah. He was definitely regarded as a star, and he's a very popular player. He was a lifer Pirate. I think he played some time at mostly he was at first base at the end of his career also, so played a lot of first. I think he was A or B. What do you think of Stargell? Do you feel strongly about A or B for him?
Yeah, he's not A tier. I mean, I've heard his name over and over, but that WAR is just not an A tier WAR.
Yeah, gotcha. I think he's B for sure, though. He's definitely a very popular player.
Yeah, OPS plus is definitely a B tier OPS plus.
Yeah, terrific hitter, terrific career. All right, next up we got Zach Wheat. Not a name you hear much. He looks kind of surprised to be here. But, 60 WAR, almost 2,900 hits. What do you peak at? Yeah, 6.5. Yeah, so not a tremendous peak. Has 1 batting title. Yeah, no MVPs, no black ink. Wasn't much of a base stealer. Played mostly in the dead ball era, but decent pop. But not, I mean, we're talking a corner outfielder here, though. So that's a lot of hits, though. 2,900, like probably would have gotten to 3,000 if he had a 162 game schedule over a long career. A good defensive left fielder. I don't know. Wheat has no star power. He's kind of below average on WAR measures. He basically has a lot of hits. I'm thinking D tier. Like, he definitely is a below average Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's quite in that, like, E tier range. What do you think of Wheat?
I've just never heard of him. His WAR is a little higher than a D tier. I think he's a solid C. But, I've never heard of him.
Yeah. I don't think I can put him in C. He feels like a D to me. He just like doesn't have the offensive black ink for me. I think he's a below average, but Hall of Famer. Next up, we got Billy Williams. Sweet Swingin' Billy from Whistler. Aren't nicknames supposed to be shorter than your real name? Aren't they supposed to be easier than saying the whole thing? I guess not. All right.
Yes, they are.
All right, so Sweet Swingin' Billy, 64 WAR. He played, I think he might have had the longest consecutive games played streak or something for a while. Or he might be like second or third on the list. So he had a lot of pretty good WAR seasons there. Yeah, cracked 6 4 times. No real milestones. 400 homers, 2,700 hits. Very good, but didn't really crack anything. 133 OPS plus. Marginally below average fielder. Rookie of the year, no MVPs, 6 All-Stars. Decent peak. He feels like a C tier to me. I think he's like pretty famous and popular among Cubs fans, but doesn't really distinguish himself. What do you think of Sweet Swingin' Billy from Whistler?
I'm good with C.
Yeah, right there in the middle. All right, and after Billy Williams, we got Ted Williams. So, man, Ted Williams. Jeez, I'm going to stick him right in the S tier right now. He is definitely...
Yeah, there's no debate.
No debate there. There you go, Ted. Man, this guy was so freaking good. He just led the league in everything. So he had 122 WAR, and he missed 5 seasons. So he missed 3 years in World War II, and then in the Korean War in 52 and 53, he only played 43 total games. So this dude missed out on, I don't know, missing almost 5 seasons. Missed out on what, like 40 WAR or something? Like that puts him up into the 150s, 160s. He's the all-time on-base percentage leader. He's the hardest out in Major League history. Nobody was harder to get out than Ted Williams. 500 homers. How many homers did he miss out on? You know, like hitting 37 per 162. You're gonna add 150 or so to that, maybe more. Puts him up in the, you know, close to Babe Ruth territory. And you know, if he's 41 and he famously had a really good final season. He had 29 homers, 1,000 OPS, 190. Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, 191 OPS plus. Man, just can't say enough about this guy. I can't believe he only won 2 MVPs. God, how many Triple Crowns did he have?
I think he just wasn't that popular. I mean, he was kind of prickly.
Yeah, the voters just liked Joe DiMaggio better, and you know they're just both amazing at the same time, and you know they weren't really looking at on-base percentage or WAR or anything. This kind of saw DiMaggio's hitting streak and stuff like that. But man, this guy he's on the short list for best player ever. Period. This guy was just unbelievable. All right, last and definitely not least is Carl Yastrzemski. So man, this guy he had the 3rd or 4th most games played ever. So 97 WAR, so 4.7 per 162. So average on a rate stat, but just played forever. And man, he had like 12 WAR one year. Gosh, it's amazing. So only the 1 MVP, but when you have 9 WAR 3 times, he probably should have won at least 1 and probably 2 more. OPS plus 130. So he definitely had some unbelievably good peak years there. But he only, as good as these were, he only cracked 6 4 times. But he was in the 5s and 4s throughout his career. 450 homers, 3,400 hits. Man, this is like an obvious A tier to me. I don't think I can put him in the S tier because he just doesn't have that extra like eye popping, holy cow. But man, he's just below. What do you think he has?
Yeah, I mean, definitely A tier. If you wanted to argue for S tier, we'd have to get into the numbers and look at it. But he's definitely A tier without an argument.
All right, well, that does it for left fielders. Wow, another really good distribution here. Maybe a little pointy at top. What's that? Leptokurtic, I believe, distribution. So maybe we could have had a couple more in the D and A tier. But again, I think that this, this means we did a decent enough job. So, well, what do you think? Any major screw ups? Anybody belong in the S tier or A tier or D tier that we didn't put? Leave us a comment, give us a like, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. All right, thanks. See you later, Smoke.
See ya. Bye.